Alright guys, sorry again, I was missing a couple days. I'm back at it though. Just feeling pretty ill. I had a golf match the other day. But feeling a bit better now. This is chapter 4, volume 3 of Pride and Prejudice. And also Peep the Cut. I mean, I got a little haircut. Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, you guys can tell me how you feel later, but I think it's fine for right now. So we're going to start, okay? Elizabeth had been a good deal disappointed in finding not a letter from Jane on their first arrival at Lambton, and this disappointment had been renewed on each of the mornings that had now been spent there. But on the third, her ripening was over, and her sister justified by the receipt of 2 letters from her at once, and one from which was marked that it had been missent elsewhere. Elizabeth was not surprised at all, as Jane had written the direction remarkably ill. They had just prepared to walk as the letters came in, and her uncle and aunt, leaving her to enjoy them in the quiet, set off by themselves. The one missent must be first attended to. It had been written 5 days ago. The beginning contained an account of all their little parties and engagements, with such news as the country afforded, but the latter half, which was dated a day later and written in evident agitation, gave more important intelligence. It was to this effect. Since writing the above, dearest Lizzie, something has occurred of most unexpected and serious nature, but I am afraid of alarming you. Be assured that we are all well. Sorry guys. What I have to say relates to poor Lydia. An express came at 12 at night, just as we were all going to bed, from Colonel Forster, to inform us that she has gone off to Scotland with one of the officers to own the truth with Wickham. With one of his officers, To Kitty, however, it does not seem so wholly unexpected. I am very, very sorry. So imprudent a match on both sides. But I am willing to hope the best, and that his character has been misunderstood. Thoughtless and indiscreet, I can easily believe him. If this step, and let us rejoice over it, marks nothing bad at heart, his choice is disinterested at least. For he must know my father can give her nothing. Our poor mother is sadly grieved. My father bears it better. How thankful am I that we never let them know what has been said against him. We must forget it ourselves. They were off Saturday night about 12, as it conjectured, but were not missed till yesterday morning at 8. The express was sent off directly. My dear Lizzie, they must have passed within 10 miles of us. Colonel Forster gives us reason to expect him here soon. Lydia left a few lines for his wife, informing her of their intention. I must conclude, for I cannot be long for my poor mother. I am afraid you will not be able to make it out, but I hardly know what I have written. Without allowing herself for consideration, and scarcely knowing what she felt, Elizabeth, on finishing this letter, instantly seized the other, and opening it with the utmost impatience, read as it follows. It had been written a day later than the conclusion of the first. By this time, my dearest Lizzie, you have received my hurried letter. I wish this may be more intelligible, but though not confined for time, my head is so bewildered that I cannot answer for being coherent. My dearest Lizzie, know that I would not write, but I have bad news for you. It cannot be delayed. Imprudent as the marriage between Mr. Wickham and our poor Lydia would be, we are now anxious to be assured it has taken place, for there is but too much reason to fear they are not gone to Scotland. Colonel Forster came yesterday, having left Brighton the day before, not many hours after the express. I'm sorry, guys. Though Lydia's short letter to Miss F. gave them to understand that they were going to Gretna Green, something was dropped by Denny expressing his belief that W. never intended to go there, or to marry Lydia at all, which repeated to Colonel F., who, instantly taking the alarm, set off from B., intending to trace their route. He did trace them easily to Clapham, but no farther, for on entering the plain they were moved into a hackney coach and dismissed the chase that brought them from Epsom. All that is known after this is that they were seen to continue the London road. I know not what to think. Making every possible inquiry on the side London, Colonel F. came into Hertfordshire, anxiously renewing them at all the turnpikes and at the inns in Barton and Hatfield. But without any success, no such people had seemed to pass through. With the kindest concern, he came on to Longbourn, and broke his apprehensions to us in a manner most credible to his heart. I am sincerely grieved for him and Mrs. F., but no one can throw any blame on him. Our distress, my dear Lizzie, is very great. My father and mother believe the worst, but I cannot think so ill of him. Many circumstances might make it more eligible for him to remain privately in town and pursue the youngest man. And even if he could form such a design against a young woman of Lydia's connection, which is not likely, can I suppose her so lost to everything? Impossible. I grieve to find, however, that Colonel F. is not disposed to depend upon their marriage. He shook his head when I expressed my hopes, and said he feared W. was not a man to be trusted. My mother is really ill and keeps in her room. Could she exert herself, it would be better, but this is not to be expected. And as to my father, I never saw him in my life so affected. Poor Kitty is angered for having concealed their attachment, but as it was a matter of confidence, one cannot wonder. I am truly glad, dearest Lizzie, that you have been spared something of these distressing scenes. But now, as the shock is over, shall I own that I long for your return? I'm not selfish, however, as to press for it, if inconvenient. I do. I take up my pen again to do what I have just told you I would not. The circumstances are such, but I cannot help earnestly begging you all to come here as soon as possible. I know my dear uncle and aunt so well that I am not afraid of requesting it, though I still have something to ask of the former. My father is going to London with Colonel Forster instantly to try and discover her. What he means to do, I not know, but his excessive distress will not allow him to pursue any measure in the best and safest way. And Colonel Forster is obliged to be at Brighton again tomorrow evening. In such an exigence, my uncle's advice and assistance would be everything in the world. He will immediately comprehend what I must feel, and I rely upon his goodness. Oh, where is my uncle? Cried Elizabeth, darting from her seat as she finished the letter, in eagerness to follow him, without losing a moment of the time so precious. But as she reached the door, it was opened by a servant, and Mr. Darcy appeared. Her pale face and impetuous manner made him start. Before he could recover himself enough to speak, she, in whose mind every idea was superseded by Lydia's situation, hastily exclaimed, I beg your pardon, but I must leave you. Must find Mr. Gardiner in this moment, on business that cannot be delayed. I have not an instant to lose. Good God, what is the matter? Cried he, with more feeling than politeness, then recollected himself. I will not detain you a minute, but let me, or let the servant, go after Mr. and Miss Gardiner. You are not well enough. You cannot go by yourself. Elizabeth hesitated, but her knees trembled under her, and felt how little she would be gained by her attempting to pursue them. Calling back his servant, therefore, he commissioned him in so breathless an accent as made her intelligible, to fetch his master and mistress home instantly. On his quitting the room, she sat down, unable to support herself, and looking so miserably ill Sorry, guys. Looking so miserably ill that it was impossible for Darcy to leave her, or to refrain from saying, in a tone of gentleness and commiseration, Let me call your maid. Is there nothing you could do to give you present relief? A glass of wine? Shall I get you one? You are very ill. No, I thank you, she replied, endeavoring to recover herself. There is nothing the matter with me. I am quite well. I am only distressed by some dreadful news which I have just got from Longbourn. She burst into tears. She alluded to it, and for a few minutes she could not speak another word. Darcy, in wretched suspense, could only say something indirectly of his concern, and observed her in compassion and silence. At length she spoke again. I have just had a letter from Jane with such dreadful news. It cannot be concealed from anyone. My youngest sister has left for all her friends, has eloped, has thrown herself into the power of Mr. Wickham. They have gone off together from Brighton. You know him too well to doubt the rest. She has no money, no connections, nothing that could tempt him. She is lost forever. Darcy was fixed in astonishment. When I consider, she added in a yet more agitated voice, that I might have prevented it, who knew what he was. Had I but explained some part of it only I learned to my own family. Had his character been known, this could not have happened. But it is all too late. I am grieved indeed, cried Mr. Darcy, grieved, shocked. but it is certain. Absolutely certain? Oh, yes, they left Brighton together on Sunday night and were chased almost to London. Not beyond, they're certainly not gone to Scotland. What has been done, what has been attempted to recover her? Her father has gone to London, and Jane has written to beg your uncle's immediate assistance, and we shall be off, I hope in half an hour, but nothing can be done. I know very well that nothing can be done. How is such a man to be worked on? How are they even to be discovered? I have not the smallest hope. It was horrible in every way. Darcy shook his head in silent acquiescence. When my eyes were opened to his real character, oh, had I known what I dared to do. But I knew not. I was afraid of doing too much. Wretched, wretched mistake. Darcy made no answer. He seemed scarcely to hear her, but was walking up and down the room in earnest meditation, his brow contracted, his air gloomy. Elizabeth soon observed and instantly understood it. Her power was sinking. Everything must sink under such a proof of family weakness, such an assurance of the deepest disgrace. She could neither wonder nor condemn, but the belief of his self-conquest brought nothing consolatory to her bosom, afforded no palliation of her distress. It was, on the contrary, exactly calculated to make her understand her own wishes, and never had she honorably felt that she could have loved him, as now, when all love must be vain, but self, though it would intrude, could not engross her. Lydia, the humiliation, the misery she was bringing on them, all soon swallowed up every private care, and covering her face with her handkerchief, Elizabeth was soon lost to everything else, and after a pause of several minutes was only recalled to a sense of her situation by the voice of her companion, who, in a manner which it thought compassion, spoke likewise restraint, said, I am afraid you have been long desiring my absence, nor have I pleaded an excuse to my stay, but real, though unavailing, concern. All right, that was to page 265.